Unter mehreren Regierungen werden die Einwohner von St. George ignoriert. Ignoriert. Die Frage ist, warum? Warum? Die Frage ist, warum? Under several administrations, the people of the tongue of St. George have been ignored. And the question is why? We're going to try to find some answers tonight. So the question is not just why the people of the tongue of St. George are ignored, but the question also is, why do the people of the tongue of St. George settle for that? What has happened to the pride of the people of the tongue of St. George? There was a time when the people and the tongue of St. George was the envy of the rest of the country. But that time is no more. And in some respects, that is a good thing. But you can't have the rest of the country progressing while the capital city, which should be an expression and a reflection of the pride of the country, lagging behind. Who is responsible for that? A capital city should be the epitome of expression of a people's culture, their building and architectural craftsmanship, their business acumen, and an overall expression of the best the country has to offer. Your city should be an expression of projection of power of the nation. But if your city is allowed to fester and decay, then you have lost pride in yourselves. What has happened to the strength and courage and pride of the people of St. George that you would allow yourselves to be disregarded by the people who are supposed to be taking care of you? That you will settle for pennies on the dollar, that you will let your environment go to waste. So the current representative of the tongue of St. George, MP representative in Parliament, has proudly said that he has won the seat for the tongue of St. George 4 times. So I would like for the MP for the tongue of St. George to humbly engage me and explain his portfolio of the things that he has done for the tongue of St. George. And I think it's at a critical time right now with all the changes that has recently taken place. He should be more than happy, especially that he might be running again, to explain to the people of the tongue of St. George what he has done for them and what justifies him getting another term to serve the people of tongue of St. George. And quite coincidentally, the candidate for the tongue of St. George in the last election on the NDC side seems equally uninterested in the people of the tongue of St. George. So I am starting to wonder that if the people themselves of the tongue of St. George does not bear some sort of responsibility for the way that they are treated. People can only treat you based on how you expect to be treated and based on how you give them signals to treat you. So I recently talked about a family friend of mine who actually went on a radio program pleading with Minister Andy Williams to actually come and help them fix the road in Green Street. And boy, oh boy, well, what do you know? And that person was an NDC, right? That family friend was actually a strong NDC supporter, calling in, pleading to Mr. Andy Williams. But what do you know? Other NDC people actually came and told me, oh no, she's lying. There's nothing wrong with the streets on Green Street. There's nothing wrong with the road. What is she talking about? You should have taken a video. And what is so funny, just over the holidays, I actually drove through the streets of Green Street. And I experienced those very things that she was talking about, especially in Lower Green Street. So guess what, guys? We've got a video. For the many doubters, for the many of you who didn't want to acknowledge what's happening to Green Street, or what has happened to Green Street as a result of so much traffic being redirected to Green Street, well, guess what? We have the video you were asking about. So take a look at this. So there you have it. She wasn't lying. She wasn't lying at all. If some of the families that once lived on Green Street were to see the condition to which their neighborhood has descended, they'll be heartbroken. Some of them are probably turned in their graves. I'll give you a little perspective. Currently, where Green Street Pre-Primary School is, used to be owned by one family. The gentleman will wake me up every morning at 4 o'clock and play the trumpet. So that just gives you a little bit of perspective. And there's so many other families that lived on Green Street. And this is what the neighborhood has descended into. It's freaking heartbreaking, man. Heartbreaking. And this is sad because you have people who are politically connected, living in the neighborhood. Okay? And it makes me wonder, what are they getting for their political connection? If you are politically connected and you can't take care of your own neighborhood, then tell me how the heck are you going to take care of anybody else's neighborhood? So what's the use of your political connection? That the people that you're politically connected to can't see that you need help in your own neighborhood. Should actually be running first to your neighborhood to help you, because you are helping them. I got a problem with that. Serious problem. I'm going to wrap it up with this. You see, when you inherit money and then you use that money and just do whatever you want with it without regard, don't boast. Don't boast about your actions with that money and say, oh, I've done this and I've done that. Because you know why? You didn't create that money. You didn't know how that money got there. You came and you met that money there. So for an administration to come, meet a treasury with $500 million, okay? And to take that $500 million and just recklessly use it, and then to turn around and boast as if you created that money, as if you know how that money got there, as if you understood the fiscal responsibility it took to create that money, and then you come now and you use that money and you're boasting and saying, oh, I did this and I did this with that money. Not even knowing how that money got there. But that is what I'm calling youthful adventurism. That is like spoiled kids who inherit money from their parents and they just go on a spending trip, you know, without knowing or even thinking about how the money, how hard their parents had to work to get that money. Yeah, that's what it's likened to. So when you show fiscal responsibility and you increase the coffers of government, and then you create projects, and then you do things with the money that you created or the income that you created for government, then you can boast about it. Not trying to use the machinations of government to enrich yourselves. And you grown people sit around there and say, oh, well, give them a chance now. Give them a chance. And NNP do the same thing? Well, the last time I checked, I thought that when you leave a relationship to go into another relationship is because you wanted to improve your condition. So you don't leave an abusive relationship and then you come and you end up in an abusive relationship. And then you don't say, oh, wow, well, I don't mind the abuse I'm getting right now. Guess what? My ex abused me. Nobody talks like that. Nobody looks forward to something like that. If your condition doesn't improve, haven't moved on, then there's something wrong. Then you miscalculated, you were lured into a situation, or you were bamboozled into something that is not beneficial to you. Be wise, people. Don't make excuses for recklessness and indiscretion. On that note, guten Abend.